Okay, hi, Mohamed, and anybody else that's watching and listening to this video. Welcome. Mohamed posted a question on the Facebook page, and he was querying the equipment that he wanted to purchase. Now, the use of the audio equipment was for podcasting. It was for doing narration and comment on screencasts and some other form of recording, which I can't quite remember now. And I fed back to him some of my thoughts, and he said, could I please suggest to him some equipment? So before I do that, I just want to make a couple of comments, Mohammed. Audio, and it's always been this way, whether you're just a listener of, an audiophile, as they call them, a listener to music, but also audio from a production point of view is a very, very funny animal. And what I have found is that you will have people who are quite happy to spend 200 or 300% more for high-end, absolutely top equipment just to gain maybe a 2 to 5% difference in the audio outcome. And the crazy thing about it is that they'll use that high-end equipment on an audience where maybe only 1% would even know that there was any difference in the equipment that was being used. So that's my key point. I think when it comes to audio, it's important that you get what's good for the job and good enough. You definitely do not buy equipment that is sub-par to the task that's required. Now, if you are doing podcasting and you're doing screencasting, you need good audio. What you don't need is perfection. And one of the problems with perfection is that it's very, very hard to come by, and it's very, very expensive, and not everybody appreciates it. And I'm a firm believer in, rather than going for perfection, you go for what's better than good, and that actually works out to be perfect. So my suggestions to you are based from that point of view. Yes, I have lots of equipment. I'm going to show you one bit of my equipment. And I've got other equipment which is much higher end. But for general podcasting purposes and for screencasting, I'm going to make suggestions that I think is better than good, is going to be extremely well priced, and it's going to be very flexible for you. The fact that you're going to be doing lots of different types of recording means that you are going to need a lot of flexibility. And as you grow, especially in your podcasting efforts, you're going to need more than just straight recording capability. You're going to be using phone calls, you're going to have synced music coming in over top of your voice and your narration. So you need the ability to mix and things like that. So that's how I'm going to approach this. Now, as a demonstration, when it comes to microphones and equipment, I thought one of the things that I would do is show you a range of microphones. Now, the microphone that you initially suggested that you were going to be buying based on your research was a Heil PR40. Now, while that is not an extremely expensive microphone, it's definitely not a cheap one. And yes, it is a good microphone. I have a Heil PR40 here, and quite honestly, I don't use it now. But yes, they are really good microphones. They have some very, very good points about them, but they cost a fair few dollars. So I'm going to run through some microphones with you, and I'm going to put them on the boom arm here. And just do some test audio so that you can hear the difference in these microphones. And then what I want you to do is take into consideration the price difference in these microphones, okay, and get a really good picture of that. Now, before I do that, let me show you a couple of resources that I think is going to be really useful. One, to assist your research a little bit further, and also my suggestions as to what I think is going to be some good options for you. So first we're going to go to a website which is called recordinghacks.com. Now, this website is awesome. I've for a long time now I've used this website. Matthew, I can never pronounce his surname, McLean, does an awesome job on this website. And if you want to know anything about microphones, I sincerely, honestly suggest you check this website out first before you go to any other sources for information. He does microphone shootouts and technical examination of microphones so well that you definitely will not be pointed in the wrong direction. You definitely will not be getting emotional points of view from him. You will actually be getting technical answers. You'll be getting really, really good comparisons, and very, very often you will get a lot of sound files associated with the microphones that he's reviewing. So this is a website that I can't recommend enough. It's called recordinghacks.com. Now, back in 2011, he did what he referred to as the ultimate podcasting mic shootout. And these are the microphones that he looked at: the Electrovoice RE20, the Shure SM7B, which is the broadcaster's microphone. This is the microphone that generally is considered to be the one for broadcasting. The Sennheiser MD42 one, the Biodynamic, a Heil PR40, Electrovoice RE320, the Neumann BCM705, the Shure SM57, and the Electrovoice 635A. Now, price differences on these microphones is enormous. I mean, really, we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars price difference between these. But do you know what's interesting? The actual sound quality, at times, for the average ear, is not really that discernible, the difference. And certainly when it comes to podcasting and screencasting, I put to you that that would be the case. So as an example, have a look at this. Have a listen to the Heil PR40.
This is what the mic sounds like at 10 inches. This is what the mic sounds like at 5 inches. And this is what the mic sounds like at 2 inches.
Right, nice sound, nice quality. Now listen to the Shure SM57.
This is what the mic sounds like at 10 inches. This is what the mic sounds like at 5 inches. This is what the mic sounds like at 2 inches.
Now I put to you, the Shure SM57 is quite impressive. The price difference is significant. So check out this website. You will get an awful lot of value from this particular ultimate podcasting mic shootout, and you'll be able to hear the difference between all the various microphones. Now, one of the other items that you mentioned that you were looking at was a digital audio recorder. And I made a suggestion in my post to you that a digital audio recorder that you could consider would be the Tascam DR40. Now, you were looking at possibly using a Zoom H4n. And while it's a great recorder, I do consider it to be more of a recorder for people that are in groups, that are musicians, and and those people that need some fairly fancy onboard editing and sound massaging type capability. Now the DR40 doesn't have that anywhere near as much as the 84N, but the DR40 is significantly cheaper than the H4N. And given the task that you are going to be doing, the DR40 is more than adequate for the job at hand. Interestingly, I consider anyway that the DR40 has a better preamp built in. The floor noise on the DR40 is much less significant than the Zoom H4N. Now I'm going to give you a link in the notes with this post to this particular video here, and just have a listen to this.
This is the Zoom H4N recording with its own internal microphones. Testing. 1, 2, 3. This is the Tascam DR40 recording with its own microphones. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Did you notice that the floor level was so much cleaner on the Tascam DR40 than the Zoom H4N? And that's one of the key reasons why I use the Tascam DR40 for my audio podcasting. I had an H4N. When I purchased the DR40, I ended up selling the H4N because the DR40 did more than what I needed, and the noise level in the DR40 was noticeably better than the H4N. So the DR40, that is the hand recorder that I would recommend you look at purchasing. The only other hand recorder that I would suggest you look at would be the Roland R05. This is a beautiful recorder. It really does a nice job. I don't like the way it records in in MP3, but ideally you shouldn't be recording in MP3 anyway. You should be recording in WAV and then going to your editor to edit the audio file. So the Roland R05 is another recorder that I would suggest you look at, but my recommendation personally is the Tascam DR40. Now, the next thing is mixers and inputs, and you've already suggested a couple of items that you're going to be purchasing. But again, looking at money, looking at the task, and then looking at the quality of the output, I seriously don't think you can go past Behringer mixers. And in particular, the Exyny X range, which is a USB range mixer. Now, this is the Exyny X 1204 USB mixer. This mixer will give you a USB connection to your PC. The beautiful thing about this mixer is that as you carry on in your podcasting, when you get to the point where you're going to be doing phone interviews and Skype interviews, you don't need to do what's referred to as a mix minus with this particular mixer. The person on the other end of the call can talk, they can hear you, you can hear them, and the two sides of the conversation will go straight to your recorder for recording. No mix minus to mess about with. It's beautiful. The quality of the preamps in this mixer are excellent. Now, a lot of people will put Behringer down because of its price point. And they'll say, but it's made in China. But the truth of the matter is virtually all mixers now are made in China. And the parts are made in China. What's interesting to note is that a lot of the other companies get contract companies in China to manufacture those parts. What's important here is that Behringer actually owns its own factories in China. They have their own staff. They have their own Behringer level of quality control. It's not Chinese, it's European. And they are able to manufacture these units at extremely good prices. So again, in my opinion, you get a lot of value for your money, and you get an item that is more than adequate for the tasks that you are going to be using the mixer for. So I really do suggest that you look at this mixer. This mixer is the X&EX 1204 USB mixer. I use an X&EX 1222 USB mixer, so it has more inputs up here, but essentially it's the same mixer. The big difference with the one that I have is that I also have effects connected into the mixer, and also EQ built into the mixer. Now, the other mixer that I would suggest that you look at is the X&EX Q1204 USB. Again, this would be a really, really good mixer given the tasks that you need to be putting it at. Now, the mic preamps in these mixers are excellent. Don't totally accept somebody saying that they're rough if they have not done a lot of research. Somebody that I know online and respect highly is very, very highly technically acclaimed when it comes to testing equipment. He really knows his stuff. He has taken these mixers, put them up against mixers that cost 4 and 5 times the amount of money, and has found that there has been no discernible difference at all in the preamps between the mixers. This mixer will give you excellent sound quality, a very, very clean amplification, and it will be more than adequate for what you need to do the tasks that you're looking at, which is podcasting, commentary, and screencasts. So definitely check those mixers out. Now, essentially, that's it. You could have this mixer, a digital recorder to record to, rather than sending your audio to your PC to record, and a decent microphone. And we'll get to microphones in a minute. If you wanted to spend a little bit more money, then this is something that I would suggest. It's called the Ultra Gain Pro, and essentially it is a vacuum tube preamplifier. So you would use this as a preamp before the audio goes to your mixer. This will take your audio definitely, it will definitely improve it. And the other thing it does is it means that you don't need to overtax the mixer. You can have the amplification on the mixer, the gain on the mixer very, very, very low. In fact, more often than not, I've hardly even moved the gain knob at all on my mixer because of my Ultra Gain Pro. So this is another product that I would recommend that you look at if you've got the dollars for it. Now, let's talk about microphones. I'm going to unhook the microphone that I'm using now, and I'll show you some of the microphones that I'm going to be connecting up. Just one moment. Okay, so this microphone that I've been talking with so far up to this point is an extremely cheap microphone. It's made by JTS, and I think they come in like packs of 4. You can purchase them in like packs of 2 and packs of 4, and it's something silly like $30. I'm talking Australian at the moment. So believe me, this is an extremely cheap microphone. It's a JTS TM 989. So there you go. Okay, I'm going to disconnect this, and what I'm going to put on is a Shure PG48. Now this microphone again is a very cheap microphone. It's even cheaper than the SM58 and the SM57. This is one of their cheapest microphones. It's got an on-off switch on it. So let's plug that in and have a listen to this one. Okay, this is the PG48. Now I haven't got to, I'll just put a foam shield on it, just 1 second. Okay, there you go. Now, not bad quality. Now, one of the reasons that this is sounding so good is that it's going through my X&EX mixer. And on there I've got bass, mid-range and treble control, so I can shape the sound a little bit. But when we go across all these microphones, I'm not going to be changing any of the settings. So essentially I'm using the same settings across all the microphones. So this microphone is the Shure PG48, an extremely cheap microphone. Let's switch over to a microphone now that is a dynamic one. They're all dynamic. This is JTS again, but this microphone is a knockoff of the Shure SM58. This microphone I obtained from my son-in-law, who hires out equipment to performing artists. This microphone has been around for years. It's been knocked around the stage. It really is battered. You could probably pick it up in a market or something for about $10. It's that sort of mic. Let's connect this one. Okay, so here we are with the Shure SM58 knockoff. Slightly different tone, bit more bassy, but again, not too bad a sound. And this could be a second-hand microphone for $10. Rightio? So far we've listened to, 3 microphones. Now let's connect the Audio-Technica USB XLR microphone, and this is the 2005. I sort of like the shape of this one. There's the other model, which is a little bit cheaper, but the shape of this microphone I like. This microphone can be purchased for around $45, and most podcasters now that assist people like I do, like I'm podcasting coach, highly recommend this microphone. So let's connect this one up. Okay, so there we go. This microphone, $45. It has a USB connection capability, and it also has an XLR connection ability. That's incredible from a mic at that price point. Now, I don't know what you think, your end, but there is certainly not much wrong at all with the audio quality that's coming from this microphone. For a $45 purchase, this microphone is excellent. Now, microphones can be very different depending how you use them, and mic technique is critical to getting the sort of sound that you're after from a microphone. If I move this microphone further away, it will not sound so beautiful as it does now. Okay, so here we go. Can you hear the difference? I've moved the microphone. I'll go to one side. I've moved the microphone probably about 6 inches away from my mouth. Now what's happening now is that we're not getting what's referred to as the proximity factor. As you come closer and closer and closer and closer to the mic, it changes the color and tone of the audio. So now I'm up really nice and close to this microphone, and it's just sounding beautiful. Now, if you're doing commentary and you're doing narration on top of screencasts and you're not in the picture, there's absolutely no reason why you can't use a microphone like this, up nice and close, getting that beautiful, smooth bass there. And this is a $45 microphone. So I'm putting to you, question the purchase of a Heil PR40. Okay, so this is the Audio-Technica 2005. Now let's connect the Heil PR40. Okay, this is the Heil PR40. Now I'm just going to put the foam protector on. So there you go. This is the Heil PR40. It definitely has a much higher high end. It's very sensitive to the high end. It needs a bit more amplification. So let me just put the gain up on this slightly. Okay, there you go. When you turn the gain up on this microphone, it gets a little bit more punchy, and you can actually produce a bit more bass as well. So this is the Heil PR40. Now I put to you, this isn't any necessarily better than some of the previous microphones we've been looking at. Understand, we've kept the settings all the same, and I've just increased the gain slightly. I'll bring it back down. But again, I think you need to question the value that you get for the dollar that you spend and the purpose that you're applying it to. So this is the Heil PR40. What I'm going to do now is switch over to the microphone setup that I in particular use. But before I do that, let me just put the Audio-Technica back on. Okay, so we're back onto the Audio-Technica 2005 microphone now. The $45 microphone, or $50 maybe. Now, before I move on to my main setup and the microphone that I tend to use, I want to point something out to you. I mentioned to you earlier about the Ultimate Podcast microphone shootout, and we looked at the sound quality that was coming from the Shure SM57. Believe me, it really is an awesome microphone. Extremely strong. You can beat that thing all over the place and it's not going to break. It's just great. That's why it's been around for so many years. But when it comes to microphones, they're sensitive. The Shure SM57 is dynamic, but if you've got noise in the room and echoes and reverb and things, you need to manage it. Now, an awful lot of people, what they'll do is they'll actually work on the room itself. And I'll just open up my screen there a bit. And what they'll do is put soundproofing on the walls and all sorts of stuff. That's okay, that's good. It does a good job. It stops the reverb, but it takes a lot of time. It costs a lot of money. Now, essentially what they're doing is, if you consider the room as a box and your microphone is in the middle of it, they're lining the inside of the box with sound absorbing material so that it doesn't reflect and bounce into the microphone so much. Rather than leaving the microphone in the middle and keeping the box the same size, i.e. the room, consider this. Putting a box around the microphone within the room. That actually does the same thing. And there's a product that I came across a few years ago I've been in a lot of contact with its designer and inventor. And I just want to point out to you that I do not record or podcast anything at all now without using this product. And it is called a pocket sound booth. I'll just bring the page up. There it is here. The inventor of this, again, is an absolute wizard when it comes to audio and an absolute wizard on the technicalities of audio. This is the second generation of pocket sound booth. The first one was very square in nature. This oval one is the newest model. What this does is creates a sound absorbing area around the microphone. It reduces the reverb that is in a room, but interestingly, he has designed it with such precision that it actually enhances the audio quality that is going to the microphone. Now, I'll just play this so that you can get some idea of what this can do.
All right, here we go. This is another test. This is a MK4 microphone inside of a hard surfaced shower. And we're going to try the test with and without the pocket sound booth.
Notice
this is
the reverb
without the
in
pocket
the room.
sound booth. Okay, this is the MK4 in a pocket sound booth in the same echoey shower with hard surfaces.
Now, did you notice that the edge had really been knocked off the reverb in that room? Now, that is a small bathroom where the reverb is immense. When you take this type of aid into a larger studio type environment, it really comes into its own.
Check test 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is the same MK4 with the pocket sound booth removed in a shower with very hard surfaces. Okay, now this is a test of a microphone in a normal recording type environment with a noisy computer behind the microphone, some street traffic on the open window outside, and a pocket sound booth eliminating most all of that.
There you go. Now, in my previous home, to the one that I'm currently living in, my studio room was around 20 feet away from a road. And every time cars went by, it would get into my recordings. I ended up purchasing a pocket sound booth, and you could not hear the vehicles anymore. It was awesome. And I have 3 of these now. And like I said, I would not record anything without a pocket sound booth on my microphone. What is interesting is the SM57 put into the pocket sound booth with the head of the SM57 around here. If you can see my arrow pointer, if you put the end of the SM57 about here in the pocket sound booth, it totally flattens that SM57 out. The reproduction that that SM57 gives you is a perfect, and I mean virtually perfect, resemblance of your actual voice. So I cannot recommend enough this pocket sound booth. That is another item that I would really recommend that you look at purchasing, at least one, especially if you end up buying an SM57. This pocket sound booth and an SM57 together is just incredible. Really, really good. And when you add the dollars up, it is cheap. So consider it, okay? Consider it. All right, now I am going to disconnect this Audio Technica 2005 and go to my main microphone. And the main microphone that I use, again, It is a Behringer product, and I was pleasantly surprised when I purchased this. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. This is a condenser microphone. Now, normally, under normal circumstances, you would not want to use a condenser microphone because they are so highly sensitive. You then have issues with treating your studio room and reducing the noise. But with the Pocket Sound Booth and with really good settings on my equipment, you just don't hear any noise with this microphone, and it has a beautiful pickup. So we'll move over to that microphone now. Okay, so here we are. This is, like I said, the tube microphone that Behringer produces. It is called a T47, so it's called the T47. I use this microphone now for virtually all my recording. It's definitely all my podcasts, and I love it. It's got its own little preamp box that it's powered from. It's tubed, so it has a really nice sort of warmth to it. And at the same time, it's highly sensitive. But can you notice that you're not getting hardly any room noise through this microphone at all with this Pocket Sound Booth placed over it? A combination of the microphone and this Pocket Sound Booth really, really works well. And at the same time, because it is condenser, it picks up, all those little subtle noises that you can make or you want to make. So this is another microphone that I would recommend and suggest that you can consider, in addition to the SM57. Okay, let's have a look at some of this equipment. And excuse the wobbly camera movement. Okay, what I have here is my Tascam DR40. This unit at the top, this one here, that is the Ultra Gain Pro. So that is the item that essentially is my preamp. Okay. Below that is my Multicom Pro, which is essentially a noise gate and compressor unit. Now, it's very nice to have. It has 4 different inputs, and definitely I use it. I use it all the time, but you don't need to be using this. You really, really don't. You don't need a noise gate. What a noise gate does, you can do, in post, using your Adobe, Adobe Audition, and literally it would take like 5 seconds to do what this does all the time. So you really don't need to be purchasing it. The Ultra Gain Pro preamp at the top, it has the ability to shape the sound anyway. So some of the benefits that the second unit gives you, you can actually get from the preamp at the top. Now the next unit at the bottom is Behringer's Sonic Exciter. This is an incredible piece of equipment for the money. It really, really is. It does bass processing, and it does processing and exciting of the higher end notes as well. So, for example, let me just do a little change on these knobs, and you'll see what it can do. So I'm talking to you now. If I want a richer sort of more radio type sound, I can start to get that sort of FM boom coming in there, and I can shape the sound on this system really, really well, all over the place, using this sonic exciter, I can really change it to anywhere that I want it, and sometimes I just leave it, but at certain times I've got to do recordings where I need a certain feel, and I'm able to get that with this unit. So that's the sonic exciter. Again, something nice to have, but you definitely don't need it, okay? You definitely don't need it. I'll just take some of these settings back. There you go. Okay, so down below is my X&E X1222 USB mixer. Now, this has got a lot of inputs and outputs. That's fine. I use a lot of audio sources with the multimedia work that I do. It's not just microphones that are plugged in there. There's other audio sources. The mixers that I was suggesting to you use exactly the same preamps. So essentially, you're getting the same mixer in terms of audio quality. You just don't have the same inputs and output capabilities that this one has. This just has more of them. But that's the mixer. Okay? I'll just put this back up on this camera back up on the iMac. Rightio, and we're back. Good. So, Mohamed, I hope that's been helpful. They are my recommendations. I don't see any reason why you should go out and buy equipment that costs more money than the equipment that I've demonstrated to you here, because honestly, the difference that you're going to get is not going to be that discernible to your audience, and you're going to be paying 200-300% more to get that 5 to 10% difference, and that's my point. It's just not worth it. So hopefully this is helpful, and I'll catch up with you again on the Facebook page. See ya. Bye.